Welcome to the third episode of Gross Domestic Nonsense. Number 3. My name is Brett. I'm a financial advisor. This is Gavin. He's also a financial advisor. And we are here to talk everything nonsense in finance today.
Yes, sir. The last week we did touch on a couple things we'll talk about this week. This week we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of tax-free savings accounts and RRSPs. Yes, let's go. But before all that, one of the things, actually, I just filed my taxes last week.
I could tell your demeanor changed completely in the office.
Don't like that day on the calendar, filing taxes. But you have to do it.
Did you pay your taxes?
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We are. We're trying.
Yeah.
Funny thing about the government is a few things, yes. But when you pay, so let's say you hypothetically owe $20,000.
Okay.
And you make a payment of $5,000 to your CRA account. So when you go online, it says, "Would you like to pay?" And usually you say, "Yes, of course I would, government man." Yeah. And then you pay the $5,000. So you make that payment. Yeah. But that payment doesn't automatically go to your balance owing.
No, you got to make a transfer.
It sits in an installment.
For the next year.
Yeah, so then you have, because I went back in and I was like, why is it still the same balance owing? I made a payment. So you get the government there to call them, and they're like, no, you have to transfer it to your balance owing. And I was like, oh, perfect. And interest has been accruing on that amount, that original amount? They're like, yes. But I did make the payment, I made the transfer, and they will give me the interest back.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, they will. We're gonna see if that happens.
So if you folks didn't know, if you are late on an installment, or let's just say a previous year tax payment, the CRA will charge you 8% now. That is greater.
Can you verify that? Look up penalty for paying taxes late.
That is more than the average MSCI index return over the last 10 years.
To my knowledge, it recently took a jump from 1% to
1 to 8.
8%? Is it 7%?
I'm positive it's 8.
You're on Yahoo. Get out of this. Go Google it.
Yahoo.
Yeah,
why is that your default?
I don't know.
This is your default?
Yes.
I'm worried.
I'm a Yahooligan till I die.
Is you got a Hotmail login too?
Hotmail in Canada. Late filing. So if you're late, if you don't file by the deadline, you are 5% of your balance owing plus 1% for each full month. Okay.
Yeah, but it's based, as you can see, it's based on the adjusted quarterly rate of 7 plus your 1% penalty. So if you pay within like a month, you're probably 7, but if it's from the year before, you're going to pay 8%.
Yes, so pay your taxes. Because
pay your taxes on time.
That adds up, yes, so I filed that. So having said that, one of the biggest things when it comes to finance, our everyday lives, we make money, we know how to go to our job and make money. We all know we pay taxes. If you're self-employed, chances are you have to pay your own tax. But tax brackets.
Yeah, you know what let's bring up tax brackets. Let's bring up the tax rate of someone who makes $100,000.
The more money you make, the more tax you pay. That's not anything new. But that amount of tax you're paying has increased over the years.
Yeah, so go back to the tax bracket you had. So this is federal. So if you look here, on the first $58,000 you make, you pay 14% federally. On the next 58 to 117, 20.5, and then it goes up from there. One thing that's important to know is if you make $260,000, you don't pay 33% federally on the entire amount. It is bridged between every bracket.
So the first for 58, I make $260,000. The first $58,000 I make that year is taxed at 14%.
Yep.
Then the following from 58,523 to 117, that next amount is at 20%, and so on and so
26,
forth.
29, 33. So that's federal. There's also Ontario, which is the same split, just a different value.
Provincial tax.
Provincial tax. In our lovely province on Ontario, we are one of the highest. Go us.
Makes sense. Ontario's a big province. A lot of people live in there.
Yeah, we export a lot of oil from here. Oh, well, it's not us. And here's a good scenario to look at, because what Gavin and I wanted to talk about today is, it doesn't matter, we can put any employment income amount in here, but let's just look at 100,000, it's a round number. It's more common now than ever to make $100,000, which is crazy if you think about back in university. That was the goal forever.
Yeah.
Let's look at $100,000. How much tax you owe? How do we get the tax to owe down? What can we use to lower our income taxes in the Canadian environment? So $100,000, your estimated tax to owe is $21,719. We are using the tax calculator at fidelity.ca, just so everyone knows. It's a really simple one to use.
Real handy tool.
Yeah, it's a really handy tool. Your average tax rate, and again, this is based on Ontario, your average tax rate would be 22%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's still close to $22,000 that you'd have to pay on 100 grand. Now, Gav, if I were to say to you, what is the easiest way to lower the tax owing, what would you say?
I would say you make a contribution to your RRSP, your Registered Retirement Savings Plan.
That's a good answer.
That's the
That's
best answer.
the number one answer.
Oh
now,
my God.
I will say RSPs, and I was on this train for a long time as well, RSPs have had a really bad rap in the last 10 years because I do feel like people want to beat down something that the government has given us as an opportunity because the government created it. RSPs are an extremely important tool to get down personal income. It does change when you're incorporated, when you're self-employed. We would always give you different advice. Always come in to see a professional like us or go to see your professional financial advisor to get this advice. But if you are an employed individual, say you work at RBC as an example, you work anywhere for a salaried job, the easiest way to pay less tax is to put money into an RSP. It creates a write-off against your income, and then you pay some of that tax back in retirement. So if we were to look at putting, let's say $10,000 into an RSP here, we can see that the tax has now gone down from 22,000 to 18, which is fantastic. The easiest way for you to understand how that calculates is if you put $10,000 in, your tax rate is 22%. That's basically the write-off you're getting is that 22%.
Absolutely.
Obviously, if you put in 30, it's a little bit more. But what's amazing about this and what people don't quite comprehend is that 10,000 that you've put away is now growing. It'll grow, let's say you're 35 when you do this, and it grows when you're 65. That's 30 years of compound interest, which is the biggest tool you have in finance and investing. That's going to grow the whole time. It's going to be tax efficient. You're not going to have to pay tax on any of the growth until you retire or withdraw the money. And the entire time you're lowering your taxes.
Yeah.
That's a simple win.
Of course.
You just need to do it. That's
Of course.
that's what
Now,
we're
say
looking at.
hypothetically you are a salaried employee. You made $100,000. You get a check. Every time you get that check, everybody sees their check. It shows tax deductions. So you, as a salaried employee, $100,000. You, if your employer has done the right things and everything's set up properly, we're going to assume that that $22,000 that we originally showed has already come off of your paycheck. So you've made that money net of the taxes. So when you make that RRSP deposit, let's say we make that deposit of, what do we say, $10,000. If you file that before March, so we say you made that $100,000 in 2025, you have until March 1st of the following year to make that contribution that will impact your last year's taxes. So again, you've already paid that 22% in taxes. If you make that contribution to your RSP, $10,000, you're going to get a rebate for that tax you already paid. So now, hypothetically, you only owed them $18,000. when you paid 22, so that money is going to come back to you in the form of a check from your government or direct deposit if you have that set up. But essentially,
You should have that set up.
yes, we live in a direct deposit world. I do love a physical check. I love that, except knowing
Except you're writing it back to them.
Yeah, or I lose it and it's crumpled up in 5 seconds. I notoriously don't
Put it
know
in the laundry.
how to handle paper. Every time,
Yeah, it's actually mind-blowing
every
how you
time
handle
I could
paper.
go pick something up from the printer right now, and by the time I bring it back,
It's
between
crumpled.
just my
Completely
nerves and my hands sweat, it just turns into a paper ball. But essentially, so now you've got that money back into your account, back into your hands, and then from there you can
You
use
could do a
that.
lot, but do you want to know the cheat code there? If you have paid all your tax and you put money into an RRSP to get a tax refund, like Gavin said, and he mentioned something that was really, really critical. You've already gone through your employment year, call it 2025, and you decide in 2026, in the first 2 months, to make the deposit to get a refund. Take that refund, put that back into your RRSP as well, assuming you have the room, but put that back. And now you have gotten ahead of the next year. If you don't have room, I wonder what's another vehicle you could put it in. Gav?
A tax-free savings account.
Tax-free savings account.
And we'll get there. But one more thing with an RSP. So you're putting it, again, it's called a registered retirement savings plan. Keyword, retirement. You're deferring the tax until retirement. People are like, oh, I have all this money saved up in an RRSP. We deal with a lot of clients. They're on the tail end of working. They're going to retire. At age 71, in fact, the end of year 71, you are obligated to take money out of your RRSP. So at that point, you hope you're not working anymore and your income is essentially zero. So that amount you're taking, you're paying tax on that money. The money you didn't pay tax on back then, you're paying on it now. And ideally, you're taking that money and taxed at a lower tax bracket, right?
Yeah, so let's look at an example here, Dante. So if you put employment income, put it up to 300,000 right now. So say in your peak earning years and take the RSP deposit out. Let's say you're 55 years old, earning $300,000. You're gonna pay $116,000 in tax. God, it's such a fun thing to look at. But in retirement, your financial plan, because you've come to talk to someone like us, you need $150,000 a year. So change it to 150. It's 42,000. So the goal with an RSP is you were writing off the deposit at a tax rate that's $117,000 a year. And in retirement, you're withdrawing it back out when your tax rate's showing $42,000 a year. So you are getting more expense while you're working, and you're paying less tax while you're retired. That's a little bit of a disconnect, I think, in our system. It's extremely important to look at.
Well, Brett, what happens if I am 35 years old, I put $45,000 into my RRSP, and I actually need that money now? What happens then?
So if you need, let's just assume you need all of it, right?
Okay, all
So
45,000.
All 45,000 out. It's already gone in and you've already expensed it. What happens then is you do a cash withdrawal. It's the same as any other withdrawal, except there is withholding tax right away on 45,000. That is 30%. Minimally is going to be held back and paid to the government, whether you like it or not. It probably doesn't matter because you probably owe that anyways, because the easiest way to think about it, any dollar you put into an RSP and expense, when you take it out, you have to pay that write-off back.
Yes. So if I was to take out, so again, hypothetically, I have $45,000 that has been put into my RSP, and that money could have grown as well. So let's say I'd put $20,000, it's been invested, it's grown up to $45,000. When I pull that money out, so you are taxed 10% on the first $5,000 you take out. I want to take out $5,000. The government says, cool, we're going to take $500. That's our tax back because we already gave you a tax
You're
break.
probably going to owe more than that. It's just what they're keeping while you take it out. So your tax rate, if your tax rate's 40% and you take out 5,000, so you only have to pay 10, you know you're missing another 30% at some point.
Yes, and that increases 20% for between 5,000 and 15,000, and then 30% on anything after that. So you do get essentially fleeced on the tax when you do pull out that money. So you do not want to put money into an RRSP. Obviously, emergencies happen. It can bail you out. And it is your money at the end of the day, but there is going to be a tax liability when you pull that money out. Now, the one stipulation is, Brett, I don't own a house. I don't own a house. So what?
This is true, too.
Yeah, this is true. I don't own a house. My parents have a lovely house.
Yeah.
I wonder if they didn't even need to use the first-time home buyers.
Well, it's 30 grand when they bought it.
So the first-time home buyer plan, what that allows you to do is you can access your RRSP. You can withdraw that money like we had just mentioned. However, you will not pay that withholding tax if that money is being used to purchase your first home in Canada. So it's the government's way of saying, hey, we know it's tough to get a house. We'll give you that tax break when we put the money in, and we will actually give you that money, less tax, that we will forego charging you that withholding tax, whether it's 10%, 20%, or 30%, and we're going to allow you to pull that money out and use it as a down payment for a home. The maximum for that is
$60,000 per person, which is crazy because like 5 years ago it was $35,000. So that's a nice bump. But $120,000 when you're with a partner.
Yes, so it is a great vehicle to not only save tax, but use that money if you do. RSP has become a key tool in buying your first home because you've saved money on taxes, and that gives you more room to grow the money that you put into your RSP to grow towards getting that down payment. But it does give us that sweet, hey, I can pull this money out tax-free for now.
And put it into a tax-free home?
Yeah.
Because it's your principal residence?
Yes, that's a whole nother episode that we'll get you and we'll get another guest who owns a home.
Yeah, we'll do a home on home.
Guys, this is my parents. They bought their house for $33,000.
Grew to $2 million and they won't sell it.
Yeah, and they're still charging me rent.
Now, with assuming you've bought a home, you've used your first home buyer's plan.
Yes, I just put a down payment. I pulled that $60,000. I used it the entirety of it to buy a home. I used it for my down payment. What are the stipulations with that?
So what you have to do is within or at exactly 24 months after you've pulled the money, so 2 years, you have 15 years to pay it back. Now, someone will go, what do you mean I have to pay it back? Who am I paying back? You're paying yourself back. You're putting the money back into your RSP over the next 15 years. Ironically, beautifully dollar cost averaging the market every month. You will always get ahead doing that, but it is a way for the government to ensure that the money that you took out tax-free will be taxable at some point, which is retirement.
Yes.
The government still needs to have their slice of pie.
Of course, they're keeping you tabs. And again, it's a registered savings plan. So when we put money into that RRSP, the government knows exactly how much you've put in, how much more you're allowed to put in. They know how much you've taken out, and they know how much you owe and when you have to start paying that back. So when you set that up with your financial advisor, if you do go to purchase that home, fantastic. I want to use my RRSP. Make sure you don't let 1 year, 2 year, 3 years go by without revisiting that conversation of, hey, by the way, it's time to start paying it back. Let's build that into our financial plan. And then that comes back down to building that payment, paying yourself back, if you will, but building that into your budget and taking care of that monthly, because that's just another thing you don't want to get behind. Especially 15 years doesn't sound like a lot, but it does sound like a lot, but it can come quick, right? And then what happens when you don't pay that back in 15 years? The government takes your house. No, they don't.
No, there's just a penalty. Like anything with the CRA, there's always a penalty. But what Gavin said, I want to touch on again, which is really important, is budgeting, which goes back to episode 2, by the way. Go listen to episode 2, and you'll understand what we're talking about here. You have 15 years to pay it back for $60,000. That's $333 and change per month that you will have to pay back. Make sure that is budgeted for, as Gavin said. Make sure you talk to our financial advisor to make sure, or a mortgage broker, some professional that will understand exactly the process you've gone through. But I can't stress enough, before anything starts, before you buy a home, right before you make your first RSP payment, log into your MyCRA, look at what your room is in your RSP, or if it's tax-free savings, whatever it is, look at the room. Do not over contribute. That is where things get real dicey with the CRA. Make sure you are going in and telling your financial advisor all your proper numbers so the plan can be created properly.
Yep, sweet. When wouldn't you, because RSPs, they sound well and good, especially with the tax bracket. We just reviewed $100,000. That's pretty decent money. When would you not rush to put, if you're making $60,000, how would you treat an RRSP?
It's a good question. If you're making $60,000 salary,
yep,
there's still a pretty hefty tax bill to be made. If it's being covered in your paycheck, you probably don't need to be as aggressive with an RSP. But if you own a business or a shareholder of a business and you're getting a dividend of $60,000, you're not paying any tax on that. So you may actually need the RSP to offset the tax that you're going to have to pay.
Gotcha.
Not a lot of people make their quarterly payments, as we know. So you just want to make sure you're keeping up with it all.
Yeah. Also, on the topic of RSPs, if you do work with a company that offers a group RSP and RSP matching platform, so essentially what that means is your employer, they'll say, hey, if you up to 3% of your income, if you put that into a group, into an RRSP, we'll match 3%. So I'm putting in 3%, your employer will actually match that contribution. Always take advantage of that. It's
100%.
It's a no-brainer. A little bit goes a long way, especially when it's matched. So obviously,
and group RSPs are pre-tax deposits. So in a group RSP, if you, let's say you make $5,000 in a month, obviously in a personal RSP, you're then taxed, and then your net tax dollars get put into the RSP. In a group, that $5,000 pre-tax is what's put into the RSP, or the deposit is put into the RSP. So there's a little bit of a double whammy there that you need to take advantage of.
Yes, so know your benefit. Obviously, if you're working in a place where your employer, make sure you know all about your benefits, your group benefits, your health, dental, and ask about RRSP contributions. Ask if they're available. We're seeing more and more companies, they want to retain their employees, and that's a great way to do it, right? They're matching your money, and again, that builds up. Also, if you're putting money into a group RRSP, let's say hypothetically you've got $20,000 in your group plan at RBC. You decide you want to, hey, I don't want it, I don't like the way that the group is managing it. At any time, you can actually transfer that money over to a personal account too. So just because the
employee portion.
The employee portion. Yes.
Yeah, it's called a sweep that we typically do, at least at the end of every year, is take advantage of getting the matching, take advantage of the pre-tax rate, and then at the end of the year, do a sweep to your personal RSP, and then you get all the bells and whistles at the same time.
Yes. Also, if you do you decide you're not working there anymore, or you've been let go, or you've moved on to greener pastures, you can take that group RSP with you along the way. So it's not just a conditional upon you working there. So it's really good to know. There's the number of people I've worked with, and they'll tell me their employment history. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I worked at so-and-so.
Yeah, I worked at Walmart in 1998.
I worked at Walmart in 1998. And they're like, oh, did you have oh, yeah, I think I do have an RSP with them. And they'll look and they'll find this ancient money that has accumulated. So it's just comes down to being aware of where all your money is. But that is something that sometimes people forget about, because at the time of the deposits, it doesn't seem like much is coming off your check. But, a couple $100 here or there, $50, $25 per paycheck back in 1998 with Walmart for 5-6 years you were there. It's been there and it's accruing. So something to consider. RRSPs, so they have their place. They're great vehicles for saving tax, great vehicles for investing. Also, when you're investing, so in your RRSP, you have the ability to purchase investments through that account. And whenever now, albeit you could be using that money in the short term if you're going to buy a house, but for the most part, especially if you already own a property and you can't get that first-time home buyer benefit, you're going to have a longer term with that money. That money we're aiming for retirement. So if you're
Gavin's talking about something called time horizon.
Time horizon, yes, that
Very
sounds
important.
Sounds like a PlayStation 5 game.
Time Horizon 2 was
Time
my
Horizon
favorite.
2, yeah. That's very fun.
I like the DLC for that one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Then you can get into investing. Obviously, when you have a longer time horizon, your risk tolerance, especially if it's money you're not going to touch, we see people, again, this is on a case-to-case basis. Not everybody's the same. We could say, sir, you're not going to touch this money for 30 years. I don't care. I want it safe and secure. That's fine. Yeah. But it is, suffice it to say, there is some benefit to taking bigger risks with money that you don't intend on touching further down the line. Now, other than an RRSP, we touched on this last time, tax-free savings account, a TFSA.
It's my favorite account.
Yes. So,
Dante, do you have a TFSA?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course he does.
I had one I had it for a long time. Like, I got it when I was young, probably like 15 or something like that.
So you don't even need us anymore.
Yeah, bro. Look up the current TFSA limit in Canada.
On Yahoo.
Yeah. Hey, at least I'm not using Bing anymore. That's the dark web.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
So a TFSA, it doesn't matter if you make $30 million or you're making minimum wage. Every Canadian citizen over the age of 18 is granted a tax-free savings account limit. And if you have not contributed, it dates back to since its inception in 2009. If you have not contributed for all those years, you still have that room.
If you're 18 full and over for all those years as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if I turned 18 in 2020, then I've only got...
You've only got 5 years of room.
Of room, okay.
Yeah.
So hypothetically...
6 years of room.
$109,000. That is your tax-free savings account limit.
And a new $7,000 per year.
And for now, it's gone up significantly.
It did go down as well, but yes.
Perfect. Yes, utilize it. So the money that you put in there is no tax breaks in terms of the money that you put into your account. That's money you've already paid taxes on. Unless you won it gambling or you won the lottery, because that's tax-free money in Canada. Which again,
but there's no deductions when you lose it, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, that just goes hand in hand with the government. Our government. If you go Ontario itself, sidetrack, is the only place I believe in the entire world where the government controls gambling, tobacco,
Liquor.
alcohol.
Yeah.
You can go to Quebec, you can go to Alberta, you can go anywhere else in the planet. And I believe we're the only place they have reins on all of it. Correct?
Yeah.
And
that's insane.
I think anyways, so the government's like, all those
one of those side road
all those
conversations.
lottery tickets you keep buying, all your quick picks, your $10 quick picks, who's that going to? Who owns the lottery?
Yeah. Lotto Max commercials are also high budget. They look nice.
Oh, of course, but we're paying money to our government in Ontario. That's what the lottery is, and they're saying, well, if you win the lottery, we ain't gonna tax you. Thank you for that. And I just think about the States when people win like $1 billion in the Powerball lottery, they are taxed on that, and that stinks.
Yeah, what that one guy won like $1 billion. He paid $400 million in tax. I mean, everyone's still happy with $600 million. I'm just saying.
I'm not happy with it.
But do you know how bad that sucks? You say, oh, you won $1 billion in the lottery, and then you're like, yeah, but I didn't. You won $500 million.
But at the same time, their lotteries go so much higher than the Canadian ones. Like, as a Canadian lottery...
Bigger population.
That is true.
Yeah.
But, I mean... Even when it's like taxed, have we got $600 million lotteries before?
No, I think the biggest I've ever seen was
it's like 40 million.
No, I was going to say like 60, 65 million or something.
Interesting. We'll
At least in
look that one
Ontario.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be mine.
There's actually a lot of people that believe lottery winnings is a part of their financial plan.
Really?
A lot of people.
I know some.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. But it usually coincides with someone with a low risk tolerance, but has lotto winnings as a part of it, which is ironic.
Interesting.
Because you think you would be a high risk player if you're gambling your money.
I know a girl who her family won twice in high school. Yeah.
What's she doing now?
She's got a singing career, and by singing career, I mean her family just pays for her to
Studio
sing.
time.
Yeah, studio time. So like, there's nothing really there. But hey, when you have that money, you can do whatever you want.
Do whatever
I
you
guess.
want.
Yeah.
100%. As long as you plan with your money. Go to episode 2.
Yes. So tax free, we got off course there.
What are we talking about?
Lottery, tax-free savings account.
Yeah.
So the money that you earn in a tax-free savings account. So hypothetically, if I haven't put $1 into my tax-free savings account at this stage in my life, I'm 37 years old, I could hypothetically make a deposit of $109,000, and I can invest that money, and any money that I make in that account is tax-free. I could buy a stock with that. That stock could double. Now I have $218,000. That money I can pull out tax-free.
Do we want to do a future value calculation to really prove something here?
Future value calculation.
So you're going to put in 109,000 today. Okay?
Yeah,
and you're going to make, let's assume you're going to make 6% for the next 10 years.
Okay.
That's the assumption that we have right now. And you're going to compound it monthly, and that is going to be worth $223,451
In 10 years.
in 10 years, which means
More lottery tickets.
that's just under $115,000 of tax-free growth,
Yep.
which is equivalent to $225,000 in RSP growth because it is not taxable.
Roger.
So it's almost like maybe we should use both. Maybe you should use both. Take advantage of everything we have
Yeah.
in the investment world.
Yep. Have your everyday savings account for emergencies, like we said last time, but the tax-free savings account, priority. Again, you can also, let's say you make a lot more money than expected one year. You can use the money in your tax-free savings account and switch it to we can transfer money into an RRSP from there if we see fit. Stipulations with the TFSA. So let's say I have $109,000. I decide I want to take out 50 grand of that today. I'm not allowed to put that money back in. My contribution room doesn't get topped up until January 1 of the following year.
Listen up to that, because
Yes.
that is huge.
Yes. So you have an expensive Christmas. My $110,000, my $109,000. I did well in the market this year. I made $10,000 on that. I made an additional $10,000. Christmas is very expensive. Pull that money out December 1st. I can put that money back in January. So it's always crucial if you can plan around, especially when it gets to the end of the year, taking money out of your TFSA towards that deadline goes a long way.
Can you put that 10,000 back in, or does it cap out at the 7,000?
You can put whatever you have taken out back in plus the next year's 7,000.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you have 100,000
Yep.
and you take out 100,
Yep.
December 1st.
Okay.
January 1st, you can put
100 back in.
the 100 back in
Got it.
plus the 7. And if it's 109, you also have more room.
Sweet.
If you put money into a TFSA, $109,000, and you invest that money, and that investment goes to zero, you invest in a company, put all your eggs in one basket, that goes to zero,
And then you withdraw it.
and then you withdraw zero, then that room is gone.
Yeah.
The room is eliminated. Yes.
But people do, because zero is a very aggressive way to look at it, but they'll put 10,000 and it'll drop to $20 and they'll withdraw the 20. So you've crystallized the loss
Yes.
in your TFSA.
You hold
What you
on
want to
hope.
do is, in a
Just
TFSA,
hodl.
you typically want to keep the money in to get it back. We have had a client, or he was a potential client didn't work with us, went and invested by himself and came back. He's like, I lost the 50,000. I don't have any more tax-free savings room.
Yeah, it happens. It does happen. And I always suggest, again, the importance of sitting down with somebody like Brett or myself or whoever you're working with, even on the accounting side. When you're working with a professional, sitting down and understanding their viewpoint goes a long way, because I, in fact, have had that when I put together a financial plan for a gentleman. This was in the height of the pandemic, all the speculation, everybody was a stockbroker. We were gonna put together a plan, and we were like, okay, we'll set all this up for you. We'll invest it accordingly. He's like, no, I'm gonna do it on my own. Cut to 8 months later, I'm on a Zoom with him, and he's saying, Gavin, I lost everything in the stock market. Sometimes my wife wakes me up because I'm crying in my sleep. That is legitimate. I was like, well, that's wild.
Did you mute the Zoom call?
No. He was just like, I tried to invest on my own. And again, everybody can do that, but just make sure you kind of know, because that is just a telltale sign
just be knowledgeable. That's what we're trying to get with this podcast, is just know the basics.
And having all your eggs in one basket, you leave yourself open to things like that happening. So that's, again, a beautiful thing about an RRSP. It's a little longer term. Maybe you want a little bit riskier. TFSA, a little shorter term. Let's dial back the risk. But you have different things, different vehicles working for you in different ways that are going to protect you against those significant swings. And then you won't be crying in your sleep. He's just like,
I mean, we've all been through crying in our sleep.
GameStop. Honey, wake up, GameStop. It's just, it's sad. It's a sad fact that people do get bitten by the markets, but
be careful of momentum. You'll typically see financial advisors will stay away from momentum. Momentum means what is popular at that time. There used to be an old saying, if you see it in the newspaper, it's already done.
Yep. So tax-free savings account, TFSA, registered retirement savings account, or savings plan, RRSP. Those are two critical things to consider when starting to invest. We encourage you, sit down with an advisor, do some research, do your own research. You know, the tools available now, type in your income, see what's what, know what you're paying in taxes, file your taxes. Don't forget to file your taxes. Pay your taxes. Yeah. File your taxes.
But pay less tax than you have to, just by knowing where to put your money.
Yeah.
Sit with someone like us, sit with your financial advisor, come up with a plan based on a dollar amount, and you'll be very surprised how quickly your money will grow.
I had one client, we did tax planning. We set up all this stuff. He owned the corporation. And then one day he was like, yeah, I'm just not going to pay taxes. And I said, okay, what do you mean? He's like, I'm just not going to pay my tax anymore. I'm not going to file taxes. I was like, okay, well, I can no longer work with you. I was like, this is
an unfortunate end to a conversation.
And then he moved to Dubai, and maybe he found that haven there. But it's one of those things. Taxes.
We won't get into back taxes.
Pay taxes, but there are things you can do to soften the blow when it does come to taxes. And if you're making a lot of money, a lot of tax is one of those. They say it's a good problem to have, because as long as you're managing the money you're making after tax, then that's the name of the game. But yeah, that's great. Tax-free savings account, RRSPs. Anything else?
No, I think that's good. If you guys have any questions, reach out to us anytime.
Lottery tickets. Let's go.